All right, let's get into our next discussion now. Members of the Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria want the federal government to address all contending issues that can lead the industry to extinction.
Now, according to them, the 106% increase in the price of baking ingredients between the year 2015 and 2018 is gradually killing the bakery business. As a result of the cost of baking products, bread prices could soar in coming days. Now, we want that this report contains scenes with flash photography.
Bread makers operating in the country have continued to contribute significantly to job creation, food security, and economic growth. Research shows that Nigeria's bread industry worth more than 122 billion naira with a compound annual growth rate of 3%. But bread makers say the increase in prices of flour, sugar and other baking ingredients, coupled with unbearable cost of energy and other forms of taxes, have made making the bakery business environment an unfriendly one.
The challenges we face as a result of incessant increases in prices of baking ingredients has rendered most bakeries comatose from operating at a loss. Capital injection through loans and equity investments have been pumped into a lot of these businesses, and repayments are no longer possible. Between 2015 and now, the price of flour, which is our major ingredient, has increased from 6,500 naira per 50 kilo bag to 11,500 naira per bag as at today.
They now want governments to look critically at the 15% levy on wheat grain, which was introduced to help the growth of wheat cultivation in Nigeria. They added, in spite of the high cost of baking ingredients, bakers have only been able to increase the price of bread by 11%.
Our bakeries suffer seriously due to epileptic power supply, and high cost of alternative energy have made it a no-go area for us. Almost all our baking machines are powered by diesel generators, and the cost of diesel has hit the rooftop and is almost out of our reach.
The masses are crying seriously that we that are distributing this bread should find a way to discuss with the federal government or governments in place that they should do something about these increases. We believe that bread is a staple bread, food for the common people out there. But now the reverse has been the case.
The bread makers say they may be forced to embark on a price increase which will further make bread unaffordable to the common man.
Bread.
Indeed. Well, joining us now is the Chairman, Public Affairs Committee, Premium Bread Makers Association of Nigeria, and he's also the Chairman, Public Affairs, yes, like I said, and MD of Bredaria Bakery, Frederick Unachuku. Good morning to you, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Morning, Frederick. Nice to see you.
Okay,
nice
we've had reasons for the impending increment in the prices of bread, but then one wonders, you've increased prices of bread over time since the period you talked about the cost of materials increasing, and then even the sizes somehow reduced without informing the consumers. So why this decision now to go ahead to increase the price officially? Okay.
Like we heard just a couple of minutes ago, the raw materials increase in price, or raw material increases in cost is, the percentage is at 106%. Now, when it comes to the bread price increase, it's just 11%. So when you compare both, they should actually increase at the same rate. But when you compare the both, you will notice that the bread makers are actually absorbing most of the cost. So we've done that for the past 3 years, and raw materials keeps increasing in prices. So it's not that we just want to increase in price, it's just that a lot of bakeries at the moment are shutting down. You hear quite a lot of premium bakeries and so many bakeries are shutting down because they're not able to keep up with the raw material cost.
Share with us what is responsible for this increase in raw materials that you talk about.
Okay, there are a few of them. First is, in the last 3 years, the FX. Most of our raw materials are imported. Even wheat flour, that is the most common used and has a significant percentage of that is used most for our productions, has also increased. And then also, about 6 years ago, federal government added about 15% levy on wheat importation. And the reason is to encourage, which is good, to encourage wheat production here in Nigeria. But then it has not taken effect for such a long time. And then there's also 5% VAT, so that's about 20%. So all of those costs has been passed to bread makers. Now, we've been absorbing that for such a long time, and so many of us have not been able to keep up. So a lot of bakeries have shut down. Others are just there trying as much as possible to see what they can do to survive. And we don't want to use substandard raw materials for our productions. Okay. We don't want to try that at all, especially for members of Premium Bakers Association of Nigeria. Okay. So we want to ensure that our quality is good, that we're concerned about health, we're concerned about food security, we're concerned about our customers who buy our product every day, and we want to ensure that they keep getting quality products. And
that is very good. But then you think about what governments in Nigeria, because government isn't continuing, not just this administration, but you think about what governments in Nigeria, because government isn't continuing, not just this administration, but different administrations up until this one have been encouraging promotion of made in Nigeria products. Previous administration under President Olusegun Obasanjo introduced cassava bread. We have cassava in Nigeria. So why is it that your association, bread makers in Nigeria, have not embraced cassava, explore it, and start making cassava bread? For Nigerians, the raw material is here. It will be cheaper for you guys, right?
Well, it seems like that, but there are so many factors to consider. First, when you talk about a lot of raw material productions, the quality that we need to produce the quality of products that our consumers demand for are not made here. And then also power is another problem, because you talk about producing them here. It takes a lot of power to actually produce some of this. So the cost of it here as well is going to also go up. So most people have not yet seen that as an opportunity. Yes, federal government has levied with importation, but then it's still not very attractive to manufacturers to actually get into all of those productions here.
All right. Is there any negotiation going on between your association or the bread makers generally with the federal government regarding what is going on?
Well, we are putting out word out there. We are at the moment reaching out to the federal government to, as much as possible, at least drop the levy, the taxes as well. That would actually help a lot in our production business. So, but at the moment, nothing yet has come through, but we're hoping that something changes in the near future. Okay,
now give us an idea of the percentage Nigerians should expect now, the percentage of increment from this, the current price. You could use the price of 250 Naira bread as an example.
Okay, well, as an association, we are not mandating our members, giving them a particular price to, we're not fixing price at all. Okay. We are not into that. What we're doing is we're saying to our associations, because we want to stay in business. A lot of us are actually falling apart. And we're saying to our members, increase your prices just slightly. It's going to be marginal. Bread should not be expensive. We believe that. Food security is really important to us. So it's going to be a slight increase, but it wouldn't be that much that Nigerians cannot afford it. That's not the plan at all.
Okay.
All right. So when you go to different parts of the state in Lagos or different parts of the country, prices of bread seem to be relatively fixed. Apart from some bread with some extra, like she was mentioning, sardine bread. Oh, I know you love those. I know you love those. All right. Apart from those exceptions, the other breads seem to be, the prices seem to be fixed relatively. What determines
Agege bread?
Oh no, Agege bread has its own level. Okay. It has its own level, and it has its own patronizers as well. Yeah. Now, so what determines the price that is fixed for bread?
Well, naturally, because it's a common food, it's a staple food, you don't want to put a price that is way higher than your competitor. You want something that is relatively close. Because it's staple food, customers also judge based on prices, not just on quality. Yes, quality is important, and we are emphasizing on that, but also prices. So when products are similar in size, you would expect naturally that their prices should be pretty close or pretty similar.
Now, what we see most usually now, and doesn't just happen just now, is that the higher the price of a bread, the better the quality. The cheaper the price of a bread, the lower the quality, even if it's from the same manufacturer. You check the cheaper bread, it's lighter, the taste could be different. Why is that? Especially at the point when 400 Naira bread came out to the market. Okay.
It's a natural thing that the higher the price, the higher the quality.
Why not maintain quality? Yes, price differential will matter, but maintain quality, but not let it, so, because it seems what we usually notice is that we want to promote this higher price so that attention would shift to that one.
Okay, well, everyone doesn't have the same capacity to purchase goods. So there are people who can afford the 100 Naira bread. There are those who can afford the 200, those who can afford the 400. Everyone cannot afford all of them, cannot afford, will not all have the same capacity for each person. So you buy what you can afford. Now, what we manufacturers do is that we create different range. That way, the person who can afford the 100 will buy the 100.
I'm not talking about the capacity, I'm talking about the quality now.
The quality.
Yes.
No, it's the same thing, because the quality is, the ingredient you use is dependent on, determines the quality of the product. Now, it doesn't mean that you're using substandard raw materials. No, that's not what it means. It means that you're using probably less of it in the production, not that you're using something different. At least for us, for the Premium Bread Makers Association, we members strive as much as possible to maintain quality. Food is really important. Nigerians, the health of Nigerians is very important to us. And over 5 million Lagosians depend on our products every day. So we want to ensure that they get something that is healthy. We don't want to cause epidemic or cause illnesses everywhere. And we're striving as much as possible. There are regulators in Nigeria. But even beyond the regulators, as an association, we also have internal regulators to ensure that our members are conforming to those standards that we set aside.
Yeah, share with us when you talk about the issue of ensuring that members keep to standards. Share with us in practical terms. How do you monitor to ensure, for instance, if you are in Lagos, your association have members from Ikorodu, have members from Badagry, have members from Ekpe, Ikeja, and all of that. How do you know if you are in the center in Ikorodu that, or maybe you're in the center in Ikeja, that your member in Ijede, for instance, or in Ebute, for instance, is living up to standards and maintaining hygiene and quality? Okay.
Well, for PBAN, we are actually zoned in Lagos, at least. We have different zones, and each zone has a leader in each zone, and it's the responsibility of that leader reporting to a higher up person that so we checkmate ourselves as well. We buy our products, we ensure that we test them, we ensure that they actually meet standard. And everyone, before you even join the association, you must commit to the standards. We don't, and there's also a fine, a heavy fine to anyone who violates those standards. We can either take you out or you pay a very heavy fine. So we're ensuring that each person, at least if you're part of us, you are definitely going to follow our standards.
Okay, so do all your members have labeled wraps for their bread?
Yes, yes. Well, to be it's a premium baker, so you have to have a wrap, yes. I
asked that to, because there are other breads, like I mentioned earlier, Agege bread, that you don't get to trace where it's from. And that is an issue, because there was a time that some bakers started using bromate, and now I had to campaign against it. So what is the state of bromate usage now in bakery world? Let's understand.
Now there are so many bakeries out there. For Premium Bread Makers Association, bromate is absolutely prohibited. We are not. We've emphasized and continue to emphasize that it must never be used. NAFDAC have spoken at length about it. Now, NAFDAC is a little constrained because of their staff strength to ensure that every bakery meets those standards. But within ourselves as an association, we're ensuring that our members commit to it. We know the dangers of these things. We eat the bread, our friends eat the bread, our families eat these products, and we want to ensure that no one gets ill. So we're checkmating ourselves and ensuring that we meet those standards.
All right, we have to leave you here now because
Okay.
time is not on our side anymore. But we thank you, Frederick Unachuku, for joining us on
Thank
the
you for having
program.
me.
You are the
You didn't
chairman.
bring any bread for us.
You didn't bring bread in here?
Bread.
All right, that's fine. That's really nice.
I'll work on that.
All right.